Hey, this is Jason with Strength Running, and we've been talking a lot recently about mental fitness or sports psychology, all of the concepts that encapsulate what it means to be a mentally fit athlete. Everything from confidence to anxiety management to mental toughness, the ability to focus, set goals. These are all the skills of a mentally fit athlete. But it can be very hard to learn these skills. And a lot of the strategies that we use in sports psychology are often, how do I say this, a little bit woo-woo, a little bit not practical. A lot of runners don't want to spend time going through certain mental exercises or drills because they're simply not interested. They'd rather be out there running, and I completely understand. This is something that I didn't really want to focus on for most of my running career because I didn't want to sit down and do exercises about how I thought about running or how I could reduce anxiety. I just wanted to go run and sometimes run fast. But there was a time in my life where I desperately needed some sports psychology guidance, and it made all the difference. And so I want to share a story with you today about what happened during a time in my life that was the most exciting, the most productive, but also the most frightening for my running. It was June through November of 2005. It was the college cross-country season, and it was my final college cross-country season. I was a senior, and I was absolutely adamant about making the varsity team and making sure that I had a spot in the top 7. And so over the summer, I really focused on injury prevention. I stayed healthy for the entire season. I ran the most mileage that I ever did over the course of the summer base phase, and I did a lot of cross training. But the problem with doing all this great training is that if you neglect your mental fitness, all of it can be for nothing. And that almost happened to me late in the cross-country season when I had been consistently the 6th or 7th runner on the team. Our coach told me and another athlete that we were going to have a race-off during a particular race to see who would be the 7th man at the New England regional meet. So 2 things ultimately became very clear. I potentially had only one more race, one more cross-country race of my college career, and that kind of hurt. The other thing that was made very clear was that I needed to beat this other runner in this next race no matter what. But he was actually a more talented runner than I was. He was just more inconsistent. And so while I was very consistently running in the 5th, 6th, or 7th spot, he would occasionally be the 2nd or 3rd person finishing on the team. And so because of his potential, the coach made us have a race-off. And so I understood why the coach was doing that. It was for the good of the team. But I realized I needed to perform. I needed to beat this runner who had more talent than me, who had more potential to run much faster than I ever could. His PR at the time was faster than I was, but his performances were very inconsistent. So what did I do? Well, I only had about a week. So I had no time to do any extra training. I had no time to focus on the physical side of running. So I had to focus on the mental side. And this was the first time in my life that I seriously committed myself to visualization. And so what I did for that week was at least once a day, but probably more like 2 or 3 times a day because I had some extra free time when I was in college. I visualized the race. I visualized an 8-kilometer cross-country race from start to finish. I thought about how I would feel, what I would smell and see on the race course. I visualized where I would make my moves, where I was going to surge, where I would potentially tuck into a pack and try to relax and not expel any additional energy. And I did this for the entire course. Each visualization session that I did took almost as much time as the race itself. And when the race day came about and the gun went off and we both ran really hard, he took off like a rocket. And, in the first half a mile, I couldn't even see him anymore. I realized at that time that this might be my last cross-country race ever. But the best thing I could do at the time was simply execute on my plan because that would ultimately have me run as fast as I possibly could. And I did exactly what I visualized for the entire preceding week. I surged when I wanted to surge. I tucked into the pack when I thought it was necessary. And I made my moves exactly on the course that I thought was most productive for me. And it worked. I ended up beating this runner by less than 10 seconds. I had an incredible sprint finish over the last half mile. I closed really strong. And I ended up running a PR. That is still my 8-kilometer PR to this day. And so that one moment for me really drove home the value of sports psychology. And at the time, I knew almost nothing. And I was just experimenting with visualization. I only did it for a week. But on the day, my brain was just in the right spot for that race. And I don't think I would have raced as well if I hadn't visualized. My victory over my teammate was only by less than 10 seconds, so I don't think I would have beaten him. And I got an extra race out of my college career because of visualization. And so I want you to have similar levels of success with sports psychology. I know it's not something we focus on very frequently, but it is incredibly powerful. And what we are going to do this year and in this campaign is talk more about sports psych. All of the concepts and ideas and skills that make up mental fitness is what we are going to be focusing on this year. I can't wait. It's going to be really exciting. Make sure you're part of the Strength Running community. You can subscribe, sign up for our email list if you want to get all of our latest podcasts and videos and blog posts. But I think this is going to be a very interesting time for you and potentially a turning point in your running career. Because if we can change how you think about running, that's going to change how you train. And that'll change how you perform as a runner.